So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Wise Crypto, and I think today we're going to discuss more about the Newrl. And just waiting for our honorable guest, people. Just wait, and we will start soon. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how are you?
Okay, thank you. So, I think we can start now.
Super. Yeah, that works.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to thank all the people to coming here. That is Wise Crypto, and today we're going to discuss more about the Newrl, which is a blockchain built for the infinite scaling, unlike the current public blockchains, and also it mimics the architecture of the human brain, which is a great optimizing research even in a decentralized setup. So here is Swapnil. Sir, can you please introduce yourself first?
Certainly. Hi, everyone. This is Swapnil Pawar. I am speaking from Bangalore, India. I'm the CEO of Newrl project, and I've spent good 18, 19 years now in financial services, credit, quant, hedge funds, other spaces before moving on to Web3. And my reason to be in Web3 is essentially my love for decentralization and, in particular, uh, disintermediation of big banks and insurance companies and others like that, as well as autonomous organizations which individuals can come together and form. So, yeah, that in a nutshell about me.
Okay, sir, thank you. So this is great to know about yourself. So it's time to know about your project. Can you please say more about your project and also how it works in crypto?
Certainly. So, what the genesis of Newrl was in our attempts to apply cool technologies from the crypto space in real world applications. And we tried a few things on existing networks like Ethereum. And very soon we realized that we are running into challenges around both scalability and anonymity. And that sort of got us thinking why so many pilots of real world applications of public blockchains, haven't moved past that stage. And that's when we thought we should actually provide a solution for this, which is starting not from a crypto native worldview, but from a real world worldview and solving a problem out there. And one of the first few problems we came across is financial inclusion. Big banks and insurance companies leave out a lot of people without credit, coverage of insurance, even simple things like cross border transactions. And while conventional chains have solved it to a very small extent, constant struggle with regulations and compliance pushes back those efforts. Neural aims to solve that by being scalable, compliant, and at the same time inclusive. And our motto is essentially keep it compliant with the regulations so that we are future ready and we don't get stuck in the same quagmire of controversies that other chains and their projects have gotten stuck into.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that. So, Neural is a layer one blockchain aimed at addressing the needs of the real world use case, such as like I can say borrowing and also lending, the tokenization of assets, and easy to collaboration amongst the people. And it is a very trust network that uses the continuous trust assessment, like of its I think the participants like build from their own on the chain behavior as well as their community. So, sir, I just want to write now, what kind of problem did you face to make this project, and how do you solve this?
Problems from a couple of quarters. One problem was in understanding how to incentivize nodes for keeping it decentralized. At the same time, how to give comfort to Web2 applications and people who never seen anything in a decentralized fashion earlier. How do we give them comfort that this works and it's more reliable than what they are used to? We're solving the first one by essentially running an incentivized test node and then getting a lot of our enthusiastic participants in the test net. We had over 1,000 nodes. We gave them what we call the OG tokens, and that sort of got them started on the mainnet for a few months. So the mainnet is now already over 300 nodes live since October 2022. That solved the problem of keeping a decentralized network right from day one, not with 10 nodes, but as many as 350. The second part was getting applications interested in building on top of Newrl. Now, conventionally, layer one blockchains have gone about this by throwing money at the problem. They basically said anybody can just show up and we'll give them a grant, they'll build an application, and that will create an ecosystem. The problem with that approach is that it's one startup trying to help another startup, and it's generally everybody is in a little bit of a aspirational view about the future. Everybody thinks the future is very bright, and it's all dependent on how things work out eventually for everyone concerned. We didn't want to take that approach, so we are essentially solving for it by saying, let's go to established businesses in the real world, ask them what their problems are, and solve those using our chain, so that it's not one startup supporting another or 10 startups supporting the 11th one, but big businesses and individual organizations in the real world saying that, yes, we will pay for this problem, solving this problem. And so to give you a very concrete example, we are helping a platform with registry of carbon credits. Now that's the problem, because people often are worried about double spending or double offset of a carbon credit, questionable origins, or trading in credits which is not exactly reliable. So there is no formal single market for it, and that is a challenge to solve. You can solve it without blockchain, but with blockchain, it becomes that much more reliable, efficient, trustworthy, and that's what we're building for that's what one of the applications we're building on Newrl. There are several other such examples which essentially start from one real world problem. Instead of saying, here's one more chain which solves for just slightly better speed, higher TPS, and some more grants coming the way of developers, that approach is too crowded. So we don't want to take that.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that. So people, they are trying to do a lot of things in the crypto right now. Like I can mention, they are the layer one blockchain built as a trust network from the mainstream DeFi, and they are focused on the financial inclusion. And I think the solve like DeFi for the mass adoptions is hard. We know on the current blockchain infrastructure due to the anonymity and also lack of the accountability. But no worry, the Newrl can solve it, no problem. So, sir, can you say some of your what can I say, main features that makes different from other project?
Yes, so the biggest differentiator for us, and this is a major strategic call we took early on, is identity on blockchain at the protocol layer, not only at the application layer. The reason we are keen on that, and this is taking a different track from the anonymity loving layer ones otherwise, is that anonymity allows you to do things without regulations, but only for so long, because the increasing bout of regulations in the US and other geographies also is showing us that ultimately everything will get in some form of KYC or otherwise, and many other things will get potentially even criminalized. And so we don't want to build for a future where we are solving for it after 3 years. And often enough, layer one chains say that, oh, this is not our problem. Identity is not something we'll solve for. We'll essentially let applications solve for it. But that's actually dangerous, because if you do not solve for identity at the protocol layer, then an application is left to itself to figure out whether it's compliant or not. And it could happen that a customer or a user can actually handle tokens in the application in a compliant manner, and then on-chain using transactions primitive to the chain without using the app, transfer them outside, and that becomes non-compliant for that application. And there are real-life cases like that in India, US, wherever else as well, which is obviously not future ready. So that's the first part. Second part is what we call the trust network. As we've said it on our website also, we don't think the world is a zero trust jungle or a full trust utopia. It's somewhere in between. Real life that we live in our day-to-day world is where we trust some people and we don't trust many others, and then strangers, we have no clue who they are. We want to mimic that on a blockchain setup where people can give each other trust scores, and That network then as a whole tells a story about how trustworthy a person is. You can use it in several contexts like avoiding identity fraud, creating a decentralized identity in the first place, giving people incentive to adhere to contracts without necessarily relying purely on collateral. And that paves the way for much wider expansion of finance than what we are used to seeing in DeFi 1.0. And third thing is scalability, which is in Ethereum, if there are 5,000 nodes, a transaction is verified 5,000 times. And that's okay for the first prototype of decentralized world, but other centralized networks like Visa and MasterCard and others verify transactions maybe once, twice, maybe 5 times. So we can't compete with those networks if you're going to verify everything 5,000 times or more. So sharding solves for it partially. Newrl's design is, you can think of it as a continuous sharding. It's not on the fly 1024 shards, but every transaction after the chain size crosses 1000 nodes, every transaction is handled by no more than 50 to 100 nodes randomly selected. And a transaction creator can still bid for higher attention on the network, but that's at least a choice left to the transaction creator, and it's not imposed upon everyone as it happens in case of Ethereum, for example. So those are the three things: identity, trust network, and scalability through the Newrl architecture.
Okay, so great to know about it. And also, I think I can name like some of their several features unique to that is Newrl that enable us to address these limitations like identity at the protocol layer and also trust network, legally robust tokenizations, no code, templized smart contract, and also distributed organization, and also new neural architecture of the Newrl and multi-ligation of the token, transparent protocol governance. I think that makes them more different from the others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, sir, do you have any kind of token? And if yes, can you say more about your tokenomics?
Certainly. So our protocol token or the chain token is called Newrl itself, NWRL, and its utility immediately is for gas, as in paying fees for all transactions. And in future, the same token is also going to be useful for chain level governance as to how the protocol should evolve. We are in the process of setting up the nuts and bolts for the governance of the code base itself. Right now, though, the token is useful for paying fees. The tokenomics is that we essentially the maximum total supply is capped at 10 billion tokens. That will be reached in about 30 years. The uh, pre-start tokens about 5 billion, but they're all locked in. So the circulating supply is very small. It's about maybe less than 100 million right now, and it's gradually going to go up proportional to the size of transactions on the chain. So the value of the token is kept up basically because of the deflationary mechanism of how the fees is handled. So if let's say there are 1 million transactions on Newrl and they pay 1 million Newrl tokens for that, 20% of those, so 200,000 tokens will go to the nodes themselves, whosoever is minting that specific block, and 80% of the tokens, so 800,000 in that case, will actually be burnt. So that helps us create a deflationary pressure on the supply of Newrl tokens, and ultimately the value of Newrl token is going to be proportional to the number of transactions on the chain. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, the tokenomics.
Yeah, that's true. So people to know more about their project, you can visit their Telegram, their website, and also their Medium. All their social links have been put on our Wise Crypto. Anyone can check on that. So, sir, as you describe some of your tokenomics, can you say how this token will be benefited for the holders?
Certainly. So most often what happens is protocols come out with tokens, whether they're layer one, layer two, or just dApps. They come out with tokens and they try to generate a lot of interest just using a white paper. And then there is a lot of tokens out there with investors. That money is used to create something worthwhile and I mean workable. And then there is hope that things work out. We've taken a slightly different approach. We are actually, we barely did a small seed sale with existing investors. We were funded already by equity earlier. And we didn't actually go out with a big token pre-sale or sale or a SAFT or anything of that sort. till after the mainnet was launched. And even then, these are small amounts. The big public sale is only in October this year, which means that we want to demonstrate to the world, including the investors, that these tokens have value not basis some white paper alone, but also because there are actual transactions on chain. Today also there are already transactions on chain, a value locked of about $150 million plus, 12 projects already working on it. And I don't mean 12 startups here, I mean 12 very big companies working on, already established in their respective fields, working on it. So all of this essentially goes to show that we want to make the token fundamentally sound before we even go to the public sale. So when we go into public sale, we're not going to try to sell it on hype at all. We are going to sell it on the basis of track record, saying, look, for 12 months that we've been up and about, these are the transactions that happened. This is the total value locked, not future, but the already finished work. And the pipeline is this and this. So in a nutshell, all of that essentially means that if you hold this token, you actually will see a massive jump in the value of the token as the transactions on the blockchain go up, on Newrl blockchain go up. And that's really the pitch to investors.
Okay, so I think those who want to become a validators can get their neural tokens as a loan and also buy them or get them from other users. And also long-term value for their investor is created by their tokenomics. The token becomes deflationary. Like there are three ways demand will go up. Like I can mention, investor buying tokens for the future of side, and staking demanded validators buying tokens to run a node, and also I think demand for application like they have the burn rate 80% of the fees. So that's how I can think the validators and investor will be benefited in future.
That's correct.
Okay, sir, thank you. And before going to the Twitter question, I just wanted to know, I saw that you have several kind of partners. Can you say more about it actually and how they help you to go along for?
Certainly. So we actually have been lucky that a lot of partners sort of walked in and they sought us out and asked us if we can help them with specific problems, advise them on how to set up applications on Newrl. So one of our biggest partners is Arya, which is a company in agri business, agri value chain financing. So they lend to farmers basically and help other banks also lend to farmers by reducing the risk of collateral being insufficient or not valid at all. So they're trying to reduce fraud as well as improve trust in the whole system. And what better than a blockchain to solve that problem? So they use Newrl essentially to tokenize warehouse receipts that the farmers get when they deposit goods like wheat, paddy, cotton, whatever they have in a warehouse. And when they go to a bank to borrow, the bank now asks them to show the token. And that's like a QR code on their phone. But when they scan it, they actually query Newrl, and then we get the output either that a token is valid or not valid. And if it's valid, then is it already transferred to a smart contract for loan or not? And in case of default, the bank submits a default transaction to the smart contract, the token gets transferred to the lender, just as you would have it on, say, Avalanche. But here, this is a completely compliant process handling real world assets, which is agri commodities. So that's one example. Our other partner is, as I mentioned, Varaha. That's again helping farmers get carbon credits for sustainable practices in agriculture. Now, in that case, the worry is that a farmer can get it twice by talking to two different platforms. Secondly, the buyer of this, let's say ExxonMobil wants to buy these tokens. Now, Vera can verify at a project level, but what did that one specific token come from, that specific carbon credit come from, that they're not going to verify. So for creating authentication of that token and also confirming that if it's offset only once, that entire process is on Newrl. The other partners include a similar technology for water saving offsets. There is a startup fundraising platforms, two of them in fact, Incentive and Mars, also on Newrl. And we are also starting to work with food companies like big brands in consumer food space to help them with traceability and sustainability, responsible sourcing, and other such details. Things which can only be solved with, which can be solved much more easily with blockchain. So that's where Newrl is stepping in.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that. So people, they have a lot of partners and they are doing so kind of activities to go so far. And people to check out their website that is Newrl.net. Anyone can check on their recent activities and also try to study with them to know more about it. So, sir, thank you for answering all the questions from the introductory part. It's time to take some Twitter question. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
certainly.
Okay, so I can see here the first questions like can you say about your three killer features and of your project that makes ahead of your competitors?
Yeah, so we spoke about that earlier. So these are essentially identity at the chain layer, trust network as a primitive, not only the smart contract, but as a base feature of the protocol. And thirdly, the scalable neural architecture, as we call it. That's why the name Newrl itself. Uh, those three are killer features.
Okay, people, I think we already discussed more about it in the introductory part, but sir did very well. Just a little bit point out. So I saw there's the questions like, do you have plans in the future to reach a wider audience around the world, like including gamers, crypto investor, NFT collectors, besides the Russia also?
So, in fact, there might have been some confusion about our current country of sort of focus. We, you can think of it as the community itself and the clients. In both cases, we are quite diversified. In case of our community, for example, the 300 plus nodes that we have, they are spread primarily across India, Turkey, Indonesia, China, Russia, a few in Europe. I've seen a few in US as well. So we're already pretty diversified in terms of our nodes. In terms of the projects that we're working with, they're primarily in India, US, and a few in Middle East. So I think we are starting out with this, and our focus here on is in case of the sustainability or the agri value chain, it's going to be a combination of both India and US and some part in Europe. Think of companies like Nestle or Mondelez or uh, Hindustan Lever, Unilever, PepsiCo, and so on, to help them with traceability and areas around it. Uh, could be based in Switzerland, could be based in Southeast Asia, or US for that matter.
Okay, got it. Thank you, sir, for clarification for that. And there is a question for you, like, can you tell us about the role of your token and also the project with the entire ecosystem? And will it act as a simple payment currency on all your project? And also, will its holder have some sort of benefits or vote in the project decision?
So as I mentioned, the aim of the token is eventually to get to a point where the governance of the protocol is done through token ownership. But we are still in the process of creating that. As of now, the token is a utility token which can be used to pay for fees. In the very long term, maybe about 5 to 7 years down the line, some of the treasury income, if it is in the form of stable coins, will also be paid out as dividends to the Newrl token holders at that time. But right now, since the transactions are fewer, that's not the case. But as it scales up, it will also be brought in. And as regards our role in the wider Web3 ecosystem, we believe that we can actually form a very solid basis of compliance, especially for projects focused on real world. So think of a project which is trying to build in, say, Solana or Polygon. Now, they are worried about identity, and Polygon or Solana say to them that, look, we don't provide any solution for identity at a chain level. Now, these projects can map the users they have onto the identity in Newrl through a two-way smart contract bridge that we're building. And that way, we are already building an identity like, say, uh, Paul.new, that's just a name of a person, followed by .new, where .new. That corresponds to a wallet on Newrl. But the thing is, a wallet on Newrl is not without KYC. So it's not just a 0x followed by a bunch of alpha numerals. It's actually also backed by the KYC documents kept with a custodian and the hashes of which are actually on the chain. So it's identifiable person, although the data is private, that's not public, but the hashes are. So there is honesty there, but privacy is strictly maintained. So this fact that this is a verified person, and this is a real person, either a company or an individual, that can be used by linking that identity to an identity on a Polygon or a Solana through a smart contract, double signing of that wallet and this wallet. So our role in the ecosystem goes well beyond just being a chain for real world assets. We can also support projects in other blockchains, trying to do the same thing, but wanting to be compliant and not getting the support from their native chains.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that and got it. So I'm going to ask you the last question from the Twitter segment, and also uh not really last. I saw there is a question about your partners. So people also get ready with your best question to ask our guest. Don't forget about it. So, sir, the question is: ambassador play an important role in every project. Does the Newrl have any kind of ambassador program? If yes, how can anyone apply?
We actually have a very solid and thriving ambassador program. We have over 150 ambassadors already working for us, and they are quite enthusiastic. They post on Twitter, Medium, uh, other channels as well from time to time. And we typically haven't gone yet into very detailed tasks-based ambassadorship, but that's coming up soon as well. We just wanted to see the gauge the interest, and so far we've been very it's been very encouraging. So we are quite enthused about the prospect of it. We would love for people to become ambassadors of Newrl, and there are Telegram groups for that already up and running. It's in our link tree. If you see it on the Twitter main page of Newrl Layer 1, Newrl underscore Layer 1, there is a link tree, and the last link there is a link to our ambassador program.
Okay, so people have to know more about it. You can check on their all social links, that is their Telegram group also, to know more about their updates and so on. And so I can see here a questions is about, I think, I can find any kind of information about the tokenomics. Can you give a review about that, and also how many tokens will be minted, where will they be allocated, and what is the use case of your token?
Uh, so as I mentioned earlier, the use case immediately for the tokens is paying for the fees, and it's deflationary. So everything that is paid in fees will essentially become, it will improve the value of the remaining tokens. The tokenomics itself, we took a cue from multiple different projects, and we wanted to keep it as transparent and fair as possible. So the aim of our tokenomics is threefold. One, keep it deflationary in the medium term as well as long term. Second, keep the lock-ins of the people with larger holdings relatively longer, so that there is no flooding of tokens in the market as soon as. So we don't want people to start dumping tokens just because they have got a large amount of tokens. So we don't want to benefit VCs at the cost of retail investors, for example. So that's the second important part of the architecture. And third was to ensure that the new issuance is gradual, and it's only for validators. So with that background, the tokenomics itself is that there are 5 billion tokens at Genesis. They are split across team, backers, ecosystem development, and so on. And of this, about uh, uh, the team vesting is over 7 years, as much as 7 years. Circulating supply grows to just about a billion around 18th month. So still another 12 months to go. So it's not that suddenly the 5 billion tokens are available for sale. It's just very gradually building over a period of time. The new issuance is only and only through block creation reward, nothing else. And that's essentially to the nodes which are contributing already, the 300 plus nodes I mentioned. So over 30 years, that's about 5 billion more. That adds up to the total 10 billion tokens that we talked about. Now, the split of these 10 billion tokens is the validators will earn the 50 billion, as that's the initial distribution, if you will. They'll earn it, and then they can sell it as they gradually earn it over next 30 odd years. Foundation has about 6%, team has about 14%, private sales will about 5%, early backers plus public sales about 11, and ecosystem development is about 14. Of course, the paper was also published in our Telegram and Discord channel some time back. I can republish it so everybody has easy access to it. As I mentioned, the fee economics, it's deflationary. So 80% of the fees earned through the transactions are burned, and 20% go to the validators again. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell about the tokens.
Okay, sir, thank you for describing all about tokenomics. But it's time to take some question from the live. But there is a question from my side. What is your future plan right now?
So our future plan right now is to create a solid ecosystem in one section of the economy where we can actually start to demonstrate value to users very clearly without too many confusing arguments. And so for that, we've chosen the domain of decentralized audit, sustainability, as well as brand tokens and so on. And so through this, we want to essentially create solid 5 to 10 projects which are very demonstrably useful in the real world context, and then around that build an ecosystem of validators as well as ambassadors and community participants who can then actually take our value locked on as in value created or tokens value on Newrl of all the real world assets to over $1 billion by the end of this year. We want to have about 500 validators by the end of that, and take the monthly transactions to about 50,000 to 100,000 transactions at the very least on a monthly basis. Ideally, a much larger number too.
Okay, so sir, thank you. Got it. And also thank you, people. I think people are waiting to ask a question. I saw there are a lot of hands. They make already made requests to you. So people make a request so that I can choose someone to ask question. Okay, I unmuted Iconic. Hello, Iconic. Are you there?
Yeah. Yes. So I have a quick question. Like, what are the requirements to run a node for you? Like, do I need to hold certain amount of your native token, like other project?
Yes, so the requirements in terms of technology are merely something equivalent to a T3 medium EC2 server on AWS, or it's equivalent in whatever other VPS you could use. That's just to give a sense of configuration. In terms of tokens themselves, we use a novel proof of trust protocol. So it's a function of the trust network I referred to earlier. So instead of stake, we use the trust score. The stake is there as a deterrent. So that's 500,000 Newrl tokens, which essentially at the that's what's needed as a stake to be a validator on Newrl.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Iconic, for your question, and also stay tuned with them. So the next one is Master. Hello, Master.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ask your question, please.
Okay, my question is how important is community to project and what is your strategy for building a strong community? Do you agree that the power of the community will lead project to develop globally? That's my question.
Certainly. Thanks, Master, for the question. And I agree with you that it's ultimately the community that decides the future of any Web3 project. Our take on the community side is that we want to build community just as we're building the application layer partnerships, which is not throwing money alone at just like other projects throw money and try to get projects to come on their chain. And these are short-lived engagements. So likewise, some people try to build community through simply throwing money at the problem and hoping that people stick around. We want to build community through shared interest in making blockchain usable in the real world, and to that end, doing new things, innovative things with it. So the current community we have is about 4,000 people strong across our validators, ambassadors, well-wishers, and participants on various social media of Newrl. And they have all come to us organically. We have done very little in terms of these campaigns, if you will. It's all been basically based on thought leadership, trying to engage in more interesting conversations like this AMA, and talk to people who have interest in this space and cultivate that by telling them that, look, let's do something, path breaking together. That's our vision, and the ones who see that vision have stayed with us for last several months now since we went out.
Okay, thank you, Master, for your question. Next one is Adriej. Hello, Adriej.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Yeah, Adriej, ask your question, please.
Yes. My question, can you explain which one is your top priority? Security, product, partnership, or token price? Thank you.
Security, product, partnership, and token price. Security, product,
Yes.
partnership, and token price. I'm just arranging that in my head so that I give a sensible answer. So,
Okay, sure, sir.
so I do believe that.
Can you explain?
Yeah, certainly. So the token price for me is essentially a function of the first three. And so security is paramount, but to a large extent, we have taken care of that through two things. One, right from day one, we have 300 plus nodes across all corners of the world. We are thoroughly decentralized. Our protocol is already open source, and so anybody can see it, contribute to it. And our proof of trust protocol is even more Sybil resistant and 51% attack resistant than proof of stake or proof of work. So from that angle, while security is high on our priority, it's already in some sense taken care of. In terms of product and partnership, I would put partnership first because I think that leads to better refinement in product. Just to give an example, if we say today that our priority should be making identity portable across other chains versus enabling easy integration with Web2 ERP systems. Now, I don't have an answer to that sitting in a ivory tower saying, okay, what is it that we should be doing? But with partnerships, what happens is you actually hear people tell us that proactively that, look, we don't care about this, we do care about this. We'll pay for this, we'll not pay for that. And so let the users decide as to what direction the project should take overall, and what is it that they will pay for. Ultimately, we don't want to make money purely by virtue of hype. We want to make real world problems solvable using blockchain, and hence make people pay for that, pay a fee for that through the Newrl token fees that they pay for transactions. And then hence, this improves the product and that improves the token price. Part of the reason we have not gone public, we've not done public sale yet, although the mainnet has been live since October 2022, is exactly that. The token price isn't the first thing that we want to optimize. It's basically should result from solid fundamentals, and that's partnership and product.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Adris, for your question. So the next one, I'm going to take. There are a lot of people. I can see that it's the Hanabi, I think. Okay, Hanabi, are you there?
You will need to unmute yourself, Hanabi.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, Hanabi, ask your question, please.
Okay, thanks for this opportunity. So my question is, can you please explain more about your army and how can you join your community and what's the requirement?
Sure. So thanks for the question. You can contribute to Newrl in 4 different ways. One is simply to become a validator, and we already have a very good pool of validators across the world, as I mentioned, Indonesia, Turkey, China, India, and many other countries in the world, and all organically grown. So that's the easiest way to join. Second is to become an ambassador, in which case we will have a well-defined engagement through our socials to tell you what to do, how to earn rewards, and so on. Third is to help us develop the protocol. So some people from our community already started giving us suggestions. Some have built some modifications and so on in our protocol and propose some core changes. So that's the protocol level contribution. And fourth is, of course, building an application on top of Newrl where you're using it for a specific solution to a specific problem. So those are the 4 ways in which you could help us.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Hanabi, for your question. So the next one. Actually, it's take time to unmute anyone. I unmuted Paper, I think. Hello, Paper Lens. Yes, ask your question, please.
Sorry, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Paper, ask your question, please.
Yes, I wanted to ask, about the since the blockchain. I wanted to ask, what's the time limit between the creation of each block for the blockchain for new? That's my question.
Got it. So each block is created in every 10 seconds. And there are occasionally empty blocks which get created because the chosen node for that block is not up. That happens 2 to 3% of the times. And in that case, it takes about 30 to 40 seconds for a block because the network gives enough time to ensure that there is no fork and there's no repetition. So a normal block creation time is 10 seconds.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I just wanted to know that. Thank you, Misha.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Paper, for your question. So, I think we have got our 5 participants right now. So we need to wrap up the same session. Do you want to say something before wrapping up?
Sorry, I missed that last sentence, Mission. If you can repeat that.
Yeah. Do you want to say something or any kind of advice for our community before wrapping up?
Yeah, certainly. So I actually wanted to highlight the fact that a lot of people asked us last year that why are you building a layer 1? Aren't there enough out there? And shouldn't we just be focusing on solving specific problem and build on top of, say, Ethereum or a Cosmos or a Polkadot and so on? And I want to highlight the fact that this technology is far from maturity. Think of internet. So I guess I'm a bit older than many people probably on this AMA because I was in my early 30s when early 20s when internet boom started, 2001. I'm 1980 born, so I've seen the internet evolve, right? Literally from single computer with DOS prompts and so on to now when a mobile phone has the power of what used to be almost a supercomputer back then. So the evolution is very gradual. It doesn't happen that, in 1996, the internet started to spread across the world and we didn't conclude as to what is the winning combination of technologies by 98 or even 2000 or 2005 for that matter. These things keep evolving. And so the last word on the blockchain technology or what should be the defining layer 1, etc., is yet to be said. And it will not be said for another 5 years, I would say, maybe longer. So the question now is not to say necessarily that is this a layer 1 and should this be a layer 2 and so on, but more like what is the so we've done a lot of work. We as a whole community, I'm saying all Web3 community across Ethereum, Cosmos, Polkadot, everywhere, including Newrl. The work we've done is prototyping so far. That's all we've done, frankly. We haven't hit the real world with anything concrete. And as we go from this prototyping laboratory of Web3, which is going on for 10, 12 years, to solve real world problems, we'll come across a lot of interesting challenges. And that's what will define what technology will actually be the winner, or maybe the set of technologies which will emerge as winners. And again, I don't expect that to be the solution like one chain to rule them all, as unlike what some Ethereum maximalists may think. it's never going to be one chain and then everybody built on top of it, layer 2, 3, 4. That is probably one ecosystem. Another ecosystem might build around a different sort of thinking process. And our thinking process is keep it identity aware, allow trust networks to build, and keep it scalable through a distributed compute and distributed storage. This philosophy solves a set of real world problems. If that's sizable enough, we will thrive along with an Ethereum driven community and a Solana driven community and a Cosmos driven community for that matter. So that's what I wanted to say before the next question.
Okay, so thank you for describing all the pros and cons to this AMA right now. But I can say that people, this is not possible to describe everything through this just one AMA. So you need to make research about their project, and also you need to try to understand what they are making. You can visit on their Telegram, Twitter, Medium. That is, I can see Newrl.net, and make research and join on their community, be part of them, and support them to go to the long run. So, sir, thank you for your precious time to this wise community, and also best wishes to your project.
Thank you so much, Misha. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.